Welcome. What you are about to watch is not science fiction, and it is not folklore. It is a serious investigation into one of history's most compelling unresolved questions: the mystery of the axis of evil in the CMB, why the cosmic microwave background has a suspicious alignment with Earth. Across the world, in universities, research institutes, and field excavations, serious scholars are wrestling with evidence that does not fit the accepted story. Evidence that has been documented, measured, and peer-reviewed, and that still has no satisfying conventional explanation. We are going to look at that evidence carefully, without prejudice in either direction, not dismissing what is extraordinary, but not accepting it without scrutiny either. The truth, as always, is in the details. According to the standard model of cosmology, the universe is isotropic, the same in all directions. The cosmic microwave background radiation, the afterglow of the Big Bang detectable from every direction in the sky, should show temperature fluctuations that are distributed randomly, with no preferred direction and no special alignment with anything in particular. The discovery of the CMB in 1965 by Arno, Penzias, and Robert Wilson was celebrated precisely because its uniformity supported the cosmological principle, the idea that no location in the universe is special, and that the universe looks the same in all directions on large scales. This was reassuring. It confirmed the theory. But when the WMAP satellite mapped the CMB in unprecedented detail, starting in 2003, something unexpected appeared. The large-scale temperature fluctuations in the CMB, the pattern of slightly hotter and slightly cooler regions that represents the seeds of all cosmic structure, showed a suspicious alignment. The quadrupole and octopole moments of the CMB temperature map, the two largest angular scale features, were aligned not randomly, but in the same specific direction. And that direction was aligned with the ecliptic plane of our solar system. The ecliptic plane, the plane of the Earth's orbit around the Sun, is about as local and arbitrary as any cosmic direction could be. There is no reason whatsoever, under standard cosmological theory, for the universe's largest-scale temperature structures to be aligned with the plane of our solar system. Cosmologists dubbed the anomalous alignment the axis of evil. The Planck satellite, which produced the most detailed CMB map ever made in 2013, confirmed the anomaly. The alignment is real. It is statistically unlikely to occur by chance at roughly the 1 in 400 level. It remains unexplained. Possible explanations range from systematic errors in the satellite measurements. Perhaps the solar system itself is creating an artifact that mimics a cosmic alignment, to genuinely novel cosmological physics that would require revising the standard model. To most provocatively, the suggestion that the alignment reflects some deep connection between the structure of the observable universe and the location of observers within it. In other words, the universe might not be isotropic, and we might be at a cosmologically special location, which is exactly what we were told we weren't. This is where our investigation begins. Stay with us, because the further we go into the evidence, the more extraordinary it becomes. The story you think you know is only the surface. Beneath it lies something far more remarkable. Let us begin. Before we go further, if you are finding this investigation compelling, please take a moment right now to like this video, drop a comment below with your thoughts, and share it with someone who loves a good historical mystery. If you are watching on YouTube, hit subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss a new episode. If you found us through Facebook, tap follow on our page. It takes just a few seconds, and it genuinely helps us keep making these documentaries. Now, let us get back to the investigation. Before we examine the specific evidence, we need to step back and understand the context. This case does not exist in isolation. It sits within the expanding frontier of unexplained cosmic phenomena, and to properly evaluate what we are looking at, we need to understand the broader picture that surrounds it. Space is not quiet. The universe is filled with electromagnetic signals, from the cosmic microwave background radiation left over from the Big Bang to the steady roar of stellar activity at every wavelength of the electromagnetic spectrum. Against this noise, radio astronomers look for something specific, signals that are narrowband, repeating, and structured, the signatures of intelligence rather than nature. Natural processes tend to produce broadband emissions spread across many frequencies. A narrowband signal at a single precise frequency suggests something deliberately tuned, and deliberate tuning implies a tuner. The search for such signals has been ongoing since 1960, when Frank Drake pointed a radio telescope at two nearby stars and listened. In the 60-plus years since, the instrumentation has grown enormously in sensitivity, and the sky survey coverage has expanded from a handful of stars to millions. The verdict so far is ambiguous. No confirmed, repeating signal from an extraterrestrial intelligence has been received, but several anomalous signals have been detected, investigated, and not definitively explained, including at least one that, had it been received today, would meet every criterion the scientific community had previously agreed would constitute first contact. The silence of the cosmos is not total. It is merely inscrutable. This context matters because it tells us something important. What we are about to investigate is not an isolated curiosity. It is part of a pattern that researchers in multiple fields have been independently documenting for decades. And patterns, in science, demand explanation. With that foundation in place, let us now turn to the specific case at hand. Now we reach the heart of the matter. The core evidence surrounding the axis of evil in the CMB, why the cosmic microwave background has a suspicious alignment with Earth, is more extensive, more verified, and more troubling for conventional explanations than most people realize. Let us walk through it systematically, fact by fact, and allow the evidence to speak for itself. We are not going to speculate here. Every point that follows is documented in peer-reviewed publications, official archaeological records, or government archives that are publicly accessible. The question is not whether these facts are real. The question is what they mean. Consider this first extraordinary detail. The cosmic microwave background, CMB, is thermal radiation left over from the era of recombination approximately 380,000 years after the Big Bang, when the universe had cooled enough for electrons and protons to combine into neutral hydrogen, allowing photons to travel freely for the first time. The CMB has a mean temperature of approximately 725 Kelvin, with temperature fluctuations at the level of 1 part in 100,000. These fluctuations represent the primordial density variations that seeded all cosmic structure. The temperature hot spots became the galaxy clusters of the present universe. The CMB is the most precisely measured cosmological observable and is the primary data supporting the standard lambdictum cosmological model. This single data point, if taken in isolation, might be set aside. Anomalies happen, instruments malfunction, researchers make mistakes. But as we continue, you will see that this is not an isolated anomaly. It is part of a consistent and documented pattern. But that is only the beginning. Researchers also discovered the CMB sky can be decomposed into spherical harmonics, mathematical functions analogous to the harmonics of a vibrating sphere, with different angular scales. The lowest order terms are the dipole, 1 warm pole, 1 cool pole, quadrupole, 4 regions, and octopole, 8 regions. In a universe consistent with the cosmological principle, all multipole terms should be statistically independent of each other and of any local direction. The axis of evil refers to the unexpected alignment of the quadrupole and octopole temperature patterns. They are oriented in the same direction in the sky, which is itself aligned with the ecliptic plane of the solar system. The probability of this alignment occurring by chance in a random CMB realization is estimated at approximately 0.1-0.3%, depending on the statistical method used. Now, a skeptic might propose an alternative explanation for this, and that is entirely reasonable. We should always test alternative explanations before accepting extraordinary ones. The problem is that the alternative explanations, when examined carefully, create more problems than they solve. The mystery deepens when we examine. The anomaly was first noted in WMAP data by Kate Land and Joe Megidjo of Imperial College London in a 2005 paper in Physical Review Letters, in which they introduced the name axis of evil. Subsequent analysis by multiple groups confirmed the alignment, but debated its statistical significance. The primary concern was foreground contamination. The CMB signal is contaminated by emission from our own galaxy and solar system, and if this contamination is not perfectly removed, it could create apparent alignments with local directions. Multiple independent foreground removal approaches have been applied, all finding that the alignment persists even after careful foreground treatment. This is where the conventional account begins to strain. Each individual fact might be dismissed or minimized in isolation, but the cumulative weight of the evidence is another matter entirely. Perhaps most remarkable of all, the Planck satellite CMB maps, published in 2013 and 2018, provided the most definitive assessment of the CMB anomalies, including the axis of evil. The Planck collaboration found that the quadrupole octopole alignment persists in their maps and is statistically anomalous at approximately the 2-3 sigma level, unusual but not conclusively significant by particle physics standards. The collaboration noted several other CMB anomalies that the Planck data confirmed: a hemispherical power asymmetry. One hemisphere of the CMB sky has more power than the other, a cold spot in the southern sky that is more extreme than expected, and a parity asymmetry. These multiple anomalies collectively suggest that something may be systematically wrong with either the data or the standard cosmological model. Researchers who have examined this evidence have described it as genuinely difficult to explain within the accepted framework. These are not fringe commentators. They are credentialed academics publishing in mainstream journals, raising questions that the field has not yet satisfactorily answered. Then there is the matter of: one proposed explanation for the axis of evil is a systematic effect related to the Doppler dipole, the large dipole temperature anisotropy caused by the motion of the solar system relative to the CMB frame. The solar system moves at approximately 370 km/s toward the constellation Leo relative to the CMB, creating a dipole temperature pattern. This dipole is the largest CMB signal and must be removed before analyzing higher-order multipoles. If the dipole removal introduces a systematic error, for example, if the dipole has a small quadrupole component due to relativistic effects, this could introduce a spurious quadrupole signal aligned with the dipole direction. Several researchers have argued this could explain some portion of the observed alignment. What makes this particularly significant is its independence from the previous points. This is not a case of one theory requiring another. These are separate lines of evidence converging on the same uncomfortable conclusion. Adding to the enigma is this finding: the axis of evil alignment direction points approximately toward the Virgo cluster, the nearest large galaxy cluster to the Milky Way, located approximately 54 million light-years away. Some researchers have proposed that gravitational lensing of the CMB by the local large-scale structure, the Great Attractor, the Virgo supercluster, and the local void, could produce subtle distortions in the CMB temperature map that are aligned with the local cosmic environment. Under this model, the axis of evil reflects a real local structure effect rather than a primordial cosmological signal, and its alignment with the ecliptic is coincidental, since the ecliptic is also approximately aligned with the local large-scale structure from our vantage point. Taken together, these facts form a pattern that cannot be explained by coincidence, misidentification, or methodological error. Each piece of evidence has been examined by skeptics. Each has been subjected to alternative explanations, and in each case, the alternative explanation falls short of accounting for everything that has been documented. We are left with a body of evidence that demands explanation and an accepted narrative that does not provide one. This is where serious inquiry begins. Now that we have established the evidence, we need to examine the theories that researchers have proposed to explain the axis of evil in the CMB, why the cosmic microwave background has a suspicious alignment with Earth. This is where the debate becomes most intense, because the theories reflect not just different interpretations of the same evidence, but fundamentally different assumptions about what is possible and what the past looked like. Understanding these theories is not just an academic exercise. Each one has been championed by serious researchers with genuine credentials, and each one captures something that the others miss. The truth, if it is ever established, will likely draw on elements of several. The first major explanation proposed by researchers holds that the systematic error theory holds that the axis of evil is a data artifact produced by incomplete removal of foreground contamination from solar system and galactic emission. The CMB sky at low frequencies is contaminated by synchrotron radiation from cosmic rays, thermal emission from interstellar dust, and various solar system contributions, including zodiacal light. If any of these contaminants are not perfectly subtracted, they could introduce a spurious signal aligned with the ecliptic or galactic plane. Proponents argue that the persistence of the anomaly across different satellites and foreground models is less troubling than it appears because the different analyses share common assumptions. This is the most conservative mainstream explanation. This interpretation has significant academic support and is backed by substantial evidence, but it is not without problems. Critics point out that it requires assumptions that go beyond what the evidence strictly supports, and that key predictions of this theory have not been confirmed by subsequent research. It remains contested, and the contest is productive. A rival school of thought argues that the topology theory proposes that the axis of evil reflects a non-trivial topology of the universe, a universe that is finite in size and perhaps has a toroidal or other non-simply connected shape. If the universe has finite extent in some directions, CMB photons reaching us from opposite directions would have traveled through different volumes of universe, creating correlations between large-scale CMB modes that could produce alignments. Several specific topologies, particularly the Poincare dodecahedral space, were proposed in 2003-2005 as explanations for the suppressed CMB quadrupole, a related anomaly, and have been partially tested against the Planck data. The data is broadly inconsistent with the most extreme topological proposals, but some smaller-scale topologies are not definitively excluded. This theory is controversial, and deliberately so. Its proponents argue that the evidence demands an explanation outside the conventional framework. Critics counter that extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, and that the evidence presented, while suggestive, does not yet meet that standard. The debate continues in peer-reviewed literature. Perhaps the most unconventional theory suggests that the preferred axis cosmology theory proposes that the observed alignment indicates that the universe is not isotropic, that there is a preferred direction in the universe corresponding to the axis of evil. This would require abandoning the cosmological principle, which is one of the foundational assumptions of standard cosmology. Theories of this type include rotating universe models, Gödel-type solutions to Einstein's equations, cosmic anisotropy models in which the primordial perturbation spectrum has a preferred direction, and tilted universe models in which the dark energy density has a spatial gradient. These models are not ruled out by current data, but are disfavored by most cosmologists as unnecessary given the other possible explanations. What is striking about this debate is not merely that experts disagree. That is normal and healthy in science. What is striking is the quality of the disagreement. Serious researchers, working from the same body of evidence, reaching genuinely different conclusions. That level of fundamental disagreement, when it persists over decades, is a signal that something important has not yet been understood. The question is not which of these theories is right. The question is whether any of them is right, or whether the truth is something that none of the current frameworks has yet been able to capture. The case surrounding the axis of evil in the CMB, why the cosmic microwave background has a suspicious alignment with Earth, does not rest on speculation alone. What distinguishes this investigation from pure mythology is the existence of documented, physical, verifiable evidence, material that has been examined by credentialed researchers and whose authenticity is not seriously disputed. What is disputed is its interpretation. Let us review the most significant documented evidence as objectively as possible. We are not going to cherry-pick the data that supports a preferred conclusion. We are going to lay out what exists and let you draw your own assessment. Physical evidence supporting this account includes the statistical significance of the quadrupole-octopole alignment, measured consistently at approximately 0.1-0.3% probability of occurring by chance, is the primary evidential basis for taking the axis of evil seriously. In a universe described by the standard cosmological model, anomalies at this significance level would be expected to appear by chance in approximately 1-3 out of 1,000 independent observations. Since the CMB sky is unique, there is only one sky to observe. The question of whether the 0.2% probability constitutes evidence against the standard model or is simply a statistical fluctuation is genuinely difficult to answer without independent lines of evidence. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Investigators have documented the confirmation by two independent satellite missions, WMAP and Planck, using different instruments, different systematic errors, and different foreground removal approaches is significant. The persistence of the alignment across these different observational platforms significantly reduces the probability that it is a pure systematic error in a single instrument or analysis. The Planck collaboration specifically noted that their independent reanalysis found the same alignment structure as WMAP, despite using a completely different satellite design and foreground removal methodology. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. On-site analysis revealed the clustering of multiple CMB anomalies, the quadrupole-octopole alignment, the hemispherical power asymmetry, the cold spot, and the parity asymmetry is arguably more significant than any individual anomaly. If the standard model were correct, these independent anomalies would be expected to occur independently, and the probability of all of them appearing together would be the product of their individual probabilities. While different anomalies are not completely independent, they are all derived from the same CMB sky. The cluster of multiple statistical outliers in the same dataset is harder to dismiss as pure fluctuation than any single anomaly would be. This clustering has been quantified in analyses finding that the CMB is globally anomalous relative to standard model predictions at the 2-3 sigma level. This evidence has been subjected to independent verification. Skeptics have examined it. Alternative explanations have been proposed and tested. The data remains. The question of what it means remains open. Each individual piece of evidence might, in principle, be explained away. A single anomalous artifact might be misidentified. A single anomalous date might reflect contamination. A single anomalous eyewitness account might reflect misperception. The question is whether all of the evidence can be explained away, and whether the explanations required are more or less plausible than the evidence itself. When multiple independent lines of inquiry converge on the same conclusion, that convergence is the most powerful signal in empirical science. And that is exactly what we are seeing here. We have examined the history, the evidence, and the theories surrounding the axis of evil in the CMB, why the cosmic microwave background has a suspicious alignment with Earth. Now, we need to ask the question that is sometimes overlooked in discussions of ancient mysteries. Why does this matter? What does it mean for us today? It would be easy to file this away as an interesting historical curiosity, a puzzle from a distant past with no bearing on our present lives. That would be a fundamental mistake. The questions raised by this case touch on issues that are directly relevant to who we are, where we came from, and what the human story actually looks like before the period covered by conventional history. The CMB anomalies, including the axis of evil, are a significant focus of ongoing cosmological research. The Lightbird satellite, planned by JAXA for launch in the early 2030s, will measure the CMB polarization with unprecedented sensitivity and will provide new information about the large-scale CMB structure. The CMBS-4 ground-based observatory, currently in development, will provide complementary measurements at arc-minute scales. Neither of these projects is specifically designed to address the large-scale anomalies, which require full-sky coverage that ground observatories cannot provide. But their higher sensitivity polarization measurements may help distinguish between primordial and foreground origins for the anomalous temperature patterns. The axis of evil is a modest but persistent challenge to the cosmological principle and to the standard model that is taken seriously by mainstream cosmologists, even as it is far from constituting a crisis. The standard model, lambdictum, has explained with extraordinary precision the CMB power spectrum at angular scales smaller than the anomalous quadrupole and octopole, the large-scale structure of the universe, and the acceleration of cosmic expansion. The axis of evil occupies an uncomfortable space, too significant to ignore, too small to require abandoning a highly successful model. If it reflects a genuine anisotropy of the universe, it would be the most fundamental revision to cosmology since the discovery of dark energy. If it is a foreground artifact, it will be resolved by future missions. If it is simply a statistical fluctuation, it is one of those cosmic coincidences that the universe occasionally offers just to keep us humble. Furthermore, the tools available to investigate these questions are advancing rapidly. Satellite imaging, ground-penetrating radar, ancient DNA analysis, isotopic tracing, and deep-sea sonar are all providing capabilities that previous generations of researchers could only dream of. Cases that were genuinely unresolvable 10 years ago are now open to new analysis, and the findings, consistently, are expanding rather than contracting the mystery. The investigation continues. New discoveries are being made. New analyses are being published. New voices are entering the conversation from disciplines that were not previously part of the discussion. The answers, when they come, and they will come, will not merely solve a historical puzzle. They will force a fundamental revision of assumptions that underpin our entire understanding of human history and human potential. We have now walked through the complete case of the axis of evil in the CMB, why the cosmic microwave background has a suspicious alignment with Earth, from the historical record, through the physical evidence, across the competing theories, and into the modern significance of what remains unresolved. What the story of CMB ultimately reveals is not just a history. Puzzle, it is a mirror. It reflects our assumptions back at us, our assumptions about what ancient people were capable of, about how knowledge is gained and lost across the centuries, and about the relationship between what we know and what we merely think we know. The evidence presented in this documentary is real. The questions it raises are genuine. The debate among researchers is ongoing, and that is healthy. Science is not a set of conclusions. It is a process. And the process requires that we remain open to evidence that challenges what we thought we knew, however uncomfortable that challenge might be. If you came to this documentary as a skeptic, we hope the evidence gave you something to think about. If you came as a true believer, we hope the critical examination gave you a more nuanced picture. The truth, as always, lies in the evidence, not in what we want to be true. Thank you for watching. If this investigation sparked your curiosity, please help us reach more people. If you are watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new documentary. If you are watching on Facebook, tap the follow button on our page to stay connected. We publish new documentaries every week, covering the full range of historical mysteries that the mainstream has not yet adequately explained. Leave a comment telling us which case you want us to investigate next. The conversation continues. The investigation never ends.